Had a few beers over at Gary's again. He has a nice setup with Larry at the convenience store a few blocks over. He flies his drone from his rooftop over to the store. It has a little basket he attaches which Larry fills with beer and snacks. I have to admit, drone-delivered beer is pretty cool. We watched World War Z as Gary thought it would make good prep. We talked about the videos. I'm still not convinced about flesh-eating zombie hordes, but I have to admit the internet censorship has me worried. Day 7. I had Gary over to give him some guns and body armor I have stored in my basement. I used to be quite the gun nut when I was married. After the divorce I kinda gave up on a lot of things and got into a rut of just going to work and coming home. Gary is now the proud owner of a carbine rifle and enough ammo to take down half the neighborhood. Tonight's movie was 28 Days Later, pretty good although I'm not sure about the ending. Gary tried to get in touch with Larry for another beer drone run, but there was no answer. I noticed Gary still has a picture of his ex on his work desk. Like me, he's also divorced although he has a daughter, Emily. I think she must be about 6 now. I don't like to pry into other people's private lives, but from what I heard from a mutual friend, his ex was having an affair with her personal trainer. She decided to end the marriage after getting pregnant. Poor guy, he deserves better. Day 8. Woke up to a text from Gary. Look out your window. Calls on the cellular network have been disabled for some reason, but text messages were still getting through. Gary had said there's a code you have to dial to access the network. He claims that the government are trying to stop looting and riots from spreading. I looked out my front window to see Mr. Thompson in the street. At first I thought he might be drunk. His skin was a pale gray and he was just shambling up and down the street. He'd stop for a few minutes at a time, just standing there swaying. I'll admit, the sight of him in the street staring through those vacant milky eyes had my heart pounding in my chest. I went next door to Gary's and we both agree that he's infected. The news channels have changed their looping feed to a message from the president. He's enacting martial law with all flights in and out of the US canceled. A full national quarantine will go into place at midnight tonight. Anyone found breaking quarantine will be shot. That last part blew my mind. Anyone leaving their homes in the United States of America will be shot by the military. Gary seems to think it's all bullshit, a scare tactic to get people to stay inside. He showed me more videos he'd downloaded from the dark web of mobs attacking police. One clip showed 2 cops running down the street firing at a group chasing them only to get caught, but another group coming around a corner. A mob tore into the 2 men. It was yet another pixelated grainy video, but I could clearly see what looked like a leg being torn off. We discussed making a beer run tomorrow as we've been stuck indoors for too long. I figure wandering around the block can't be that dangerous, plus we're going to need more beer if we're going to survive the apocalypse. Day 9. Mr. Thompson is nowhere to be seen. We've agreed to head over to the store about noon. I can't imagine we'll have too much trouble as we'll both be carrying carbine rifles. Still, I can't get the sight of Mr. Thompson out of my head. This all still seems so unreal. Our beer run did not go well. We got to the store only to find it partially burned out. There were a couple of dead bodies in the parking lot with gunshot wounds to the head. Both corpses had sickly gray skin and milky white eyes. Stepping inside, we found Larry's corpse behind the counter, or what was left of it. His face had been eaten off, a leg and arm were missing from his torso. We both just stood there in shock. It just didn't seem like this kind of violence would be possible in our sleepy middle-class neighborhood. I managed to get some cans of food, toilet paper, and beer. As we were about to leave, a guy came out of nowhere. He must have been behind the building. It was clear from his appearance he was infected. Gary warned him to step back as he stumbled into the entrance of the store. The man's mouth hung open, a weird, unsettling sound emanated from the back of his throat. I raised my gun, but he kept moving towards us. Having no other choice, I shot the man in the head after repeated warnings to stop. My hands were trembling as I tried to take in the fact I'd just killed someone. The torrent of blood that streamed from the head wound made my stomach retch. As we stepped outside, we found the street was swarming with the infected. We ran down Cooper Avenue in the hope of losing them. I saw Mrs. Anderson, an elderly lady my ex-wife had been friendly with, standing in her garden. She just swayed back and forth, her skin a now familiar sickly gray color. We managed to climb over a few fences and got back to Gary's house unscathed. We just sat in his living room in silence, both of us breathing hard. After a few hours, a group of infected had started to gather in the street outside. We're not sure how they know we're here, but the horde is growing bigger with every hour. We decided to move everything useful to my house before it gets too crowded outside. We're going to have to take turns keeping watch overnight. I'm not sure I'll be doing much sleeping anyway. When I close my eyes, I can still see the man's brains splattered over the convenience store's floor.